What's good, guys? Fancy Joe back here with some more fancy football content. The much anticipated league winners, wide receivers are here today. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have a ton of great content out already on the channel. Running back league winners, my value series is out, my sleeper series is out. Also, I would check out the series I have doing early round decisions before your drafts. Makes some of the harder decisions in your drafts easier. Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor versus Saquon Barkley, Puka Nacua versus Garrett Wilson. Those are just to name a few. There's way more of them out there. But if you're struggling with a decision, comment it down below. I'll make a video. Check out the ones I already have. But let's hop into our wide receiver league winners. So you guys have this one's probably not surprised if you followed the channel this year. It's Jalen Waddle, currently going as a wide receiver 17 in drafts. In 2022, he finished as a wide receiver 7. In 2021, his rookie year, he finished as a wide receiver 16. This last year, he wasn't quite as high in his fantasy finish. That's because he only suited up for 14 games, wasn't playing all the snaps in the games he did play, was banged up with injuries. But he's a very great wide receiver who's young, explosive, and where he's going in the draft right now is at criminal value. The Dolphins came out and extended him this offseason. He's in their plans moving forward. He's an electric talent, extremely fast. They threw for the most passing yards in football last year. I fully expect him to bounce back. His yardage wasn't even very bad. He just didn't have many touchdowns, and like I said, wasn't explosive as he was in previous years. But I really have no doubts about Jalen Waddle coming back. I think it had more to do with injuries and just nagging things than anything. Jalen Waddle is going to be an absolute stud this year for fantasy football, and I would buy the dip every second that I can. Moving on to our next wide receiver league winner. This guy, his name is T. Higgins. You've probably heard of him. I think T. Higgins is just going way too late in drafts, though. Reason being, he's a healthy number 2 on a contract year for Joe Burrow. In 2022, he was a wide receiver 17, 12.4 points per game. He missed some time. 2021, he was a wide receiver 22, averaging 13 points per game. He missed some time as well. Career high 7 touchdowns with potential 40 coming from Burrow, and he's at the number 2. As you can see in 2022, that's when he had his career high in touchdowns. I just think the touchdowns are going to go up for Higgins. I think he's a guy who can have 10, 12 touchdowns in a year pretty easily. I think he's going to have somewhere between 1,100 to 1,250 yards, and he's currently going around 5, around 6, wide receiver 26, and like I said, finished wide receiver 17, wide receiver 22 in healthy seasons. If this guy's on the field, he's going to massively outproduce the draft position. He's got every reason to stay on the field because he's playing for the bag. He needs money for the rest of his life. A healthy season with a healthy Burrow, no Tyler Boyd in a contract year, 1,000 to 1,200 yards, and a career high in touchdowns, cracking double digits for the first time is realistic. That's why I kind of project T. Higgins for. I think he'll have 10 touchdowns, probably 1,200 yards, and he'll be an absolute steal where you're taking him in drafts currently. Like I said, he's got all the motivation. There's really not much target competition on this team outside of him and Jamar Chase. Everyone else is tiers below. So T. Higgins is a wide receiver league winner to me. Moving on to our next guy, we've got Tank Dell. Now, Tank Dell last year, I really liked watching him play. He's being drafted as a wide receiver 29 right now. And one thing in the 6th round, one thing I want to point out about him, he was a wide receiver 16 as a rookie in points per game. That's incredible. Had more points per game than Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. If he takes a second-year leap, he could really just vault himself. He was 13 points per game last year. To put that perspective, Jamar Chase was 13.3, A.J. Brown 13.9. So if he does take a second-year leap, he's getting to those elite first-round wide receiver ranks in terms of efficiency and things of that nature. He is an absolute beast. I think he could have he had a higher target share than Nico, higher points per game and air yards when they all played. His draft price is pretty wild to me. Last year he was on pace for 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns as a rookie. I think Diggs could have lost a step, and even if he did, even if he hasn't lost a step, Noah Brown last year as a third receiver on that team was still having, some games where he got targets doing his role. I think Stephon Diggs is going to be on that role. I think Tank Dell is going to be in the 1 or the 1B role. And this is going to be an offense that's going to really produce for fantasy football. And he is going to be a massive value, a massive league winner. I have no problem taking this guy in round 5 and riding the hopes that you have for him because, like I said, he's going to be very good. This next guy we've got up on the thing, Rashee Rice. So basically, early in the offseason, he was projected to be suspended. Now it's not looking that way. Court dates for December. Likely going to play this entire year, get suspended at some point next year. But we look at what he did as a rookie. Another guy who shined as a rookie. 16 games, 79 receptions on 102 targets, 938 yards, 11.9 per, and 7 touchdowns. And his utilization really didn't start to move up till the second half of the year. If you look after their bye week, he scored double digits points in 4 out of 6 games. He's going to be utilized by Patrick Mahomes in this offense. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. And obviously they have Kelsey, so maybe he won't be the biggest factor in the red zone, but he's still going to get the ball a lot. Last year in the 20 games he played, he had 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns if you count the playoff games. From week 6 on, he averaged 12.1 points per game. Again, that's a really good number, and that's as a rookie. He should take a step up this year, get even better, and I really think Rashee Rice is being criminally underdrafted. This guy's going, round 8. I think you can pull the trigger on Rashee Rice around 5 and feel really good about it, maybe even a little higher. But Rashee Rice is definitely a great value in drafts. I would jump all over. Now let's move on. We've got 2 honorable mentions. First up, Christian Watson for the Green Bay Packers. So last year, he's definitely derailed by injuries. Got at least 5 targets, though, in 6 of the 8 games he played over 50% of snaps in. I wanted to throw that out there. He's on pace for 105 targets last year, which is likely more if he gets stayed on the field. He's an elite athlete. He's 6'4", runs in the 4.3s. He's got great size, elite athleticism. He shines whenever he's on the field. Now he has a quarterback who's going to throw for 4,000 plus yards and 30 plus touchdowns, or at least that's what the Packers are hoping for, obviously. But he did that last year in his first year as a starter. Jordan Love, that is. And I think that Watson, if he can stay on the field, he's going to be dynamic for fantasy football. He's going to be the number 1 on this team. And produce in major ways. I think he's somewhere between like a Mike Wallace and a Mike Evans type of player, or a mixture, I should say. He's going to be fantastic for football. And the value you're getting on him going so late in the 8th, 9th round of drafts, definitely worth the price. He could finish as a top 12 wide receiver. That's how good he is if he can stay on the field. And like I said, when you just talk about the size, the speed, he's struggled with injuries. He's tried to get his hamstring strength addressed this year, trying to make his hamstrings the same strength level in each, and he's improved in that, so hopefully that can help keep him on the field. But Christian Watson is a wide receiver league winner to me as well. And then this last one, another guy I was high on last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So one thing I want to point out about JSN last year, so he's the number 1 wide receiver drafted last year as a rookie in the actual NFL draft. But he started the season injured, broke his forearm, was struggling with some things. Now, they have a new offensive system, much more pass-happy offensive coordinator that's going to help him a lot. And I believe Tyler Lockett declined last year. I think JSN is clearly the new number 2 on this roster. Lockett's been banged up with injuries so far this preseason. He had 93 targets this last year. I expect that to go up a lot with those changes I mentioned. They're going to be throwing the ball more, a new offense. JSN is going to be highlighted, and Tyler Lockett, I think, is declining, and it's not going to be as big of a factor. He was the number 1 wide receiver in his class for a reason. He's going to make a year 2 leap. He's got a new role and an extremely low draft price. Again, the thing with Christian Watson and JSN is you're not giving anything up to draft them. They're 8th, 9th round picks. You throw these guys in your roster, and their upside is immense because of how talented of receivers they are. If they can stay on the field, be in one of these highlighted roles that they're projected to be moving forward, you are going to get a massive value and have a guy that can potentially help win your league. These are wide receiver league winners for a reason, and that's why I've laid out all these reasons for you guys. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Draft these league winners.